At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 300 programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Hello, my name is Jose Peña and welcome to my channel. Today's episode, Living in America Part 2. In the early days of December 1997, I was on my way to a new state, Utah, and a new town, Salt Lake City. After 2.5 years in Miami, Florida, I decided to move on. What I did not know was how it was going to impact me. I loved Miami and its culture, food, cuisine, and the weather, of course. But I felt that a change was needed. I've heard about conservative America before, and this was clearly the real thing. To start, I was ill prepared. I had no winter clothes, so you can imagine I had a really hard time at the beginning. Fortunately, I found a job right off at the Salt Lake City International Airport. I was renting cars to visitors from all over. Utah was great, but also different. It was full of natural beauty, but the people, they were a little bit different. They were extremely shy and introverted with new people, with new arrivals. They were way different in comparison with, let's say, Floridians, which are very outgoing people. Still, they treated me with respect. I soon had a girlfriend and I was traveling to all these places and states: Boise, Idaho, Phoenix, Arizona, Las Vegas, Nevada, San Francisco, California, Los Angeles, Corpus Christi, Texas, Missoula, Montana, to name a few. Now that I mentioned Missoula, let me tell you a little story about what happens to me there. I was sent there to do a job. After a very tiring day, I went to a Denny's restaurant for a meal. It was half full, and he had a cop outside at the entrance. Inside, you would expect, or at least I was used to seeing minorities working in places like this type of restaurants. So I thought. To my surprise, I saw only Caucasians working there in these places. They were everywhere, and of course, not that I mind that in any case. But soon I clearly realized that I was not invited or welcome in that place. A drunken fool started to complain. He was practically yelling about me being there eating. I would have minded if it wasn't that he sat on my table and started eating my food and getting in my face. Not surprisingly, no one intervened or said a word. People were mostly quiet, looking at things, but they were not doing anything. So I asked to speak to the supervisor of the restaurant for help, but he was nowhere to be seen. Then I remembered about the cop outside, and I asked him for help, but he didn't want to mend in any way. So by the time I went back to the table, the drunken guy had almost eaten my entire meal. So you could imagine I I felt powerless. I clearly could have pushed or hit the guy, but I did not know how the people were going to react, or even the cop. So I didn't do anything. So the only one that seemed to care about what happened was actually the cashier who took my order. And that is because she saw the whole thing. So I went back there and asked her for my money back. At the beginning she looked puzzled, but she either empathized with me or maybe felt sorry for me. In any case, she gave me my money back and I left the place. So things like that could happen at any time, so you clearly have to be prepared. So back in Utah, things were great. One day I was driving back to Salt Lake City from Wendover. Wendover is a small town being between Utah and Nevada. The actual town is cut in half. Half of Wendover is in Utah and the other half is in Nevada. And not only that, it's separated also by the time zone. The Wendover, Utah side had the mountain time, and the Wendover part of Nevada had the Pacific time. So you could imagine the changes. The Wendover, Utah side was very quiet, mostly urban areas. But then the Wendover, Nevada side has casinos and all that, so you can imagine the difference. So, as I was saying, when I was driving back to Salt Lake from Wendover, when I fell asleep at the wheel, it was about 2 o'clock in the morning when that occurred. And the only thing that prevented me from having an accident or a major crash was have you seen the bumps there on the side of the highway that when the car drives on, that makes that weird sound? Well, that thing woke me up, and soon I realized that I had fell asleep at the wheel, so I had to pull over for a moment and basically calm down. I was panicking and really scared about the whole thing. I didn't even notice that I fell asleep on the wheel. So it was very scary. Never happens to me again. So back in Salt Lake City, the things were great. The Sundance Film Festival had just moved from Sundance to Park City, east of Salt Lake. So you were seeing people from the entertainment business, actors, directors, writers, producers. They all started showing up at, with the purpose of renting cars and all that. And I was there in the middle of it. I saw people like Sally Field, Julianne Moore, Joe Pantoliano, and other people. I saw them firsthand. There were other people, of course. For example, I saw John F. Kennedy Jr. At the airport, and I saw him about 3 months before he died on the plane. My co-worker saw him too, and she almost fainted when I told him, "You know who he is?" And then, "Oh my God, this guy, yeah." So yeah, you had the opportunity to see people like that at the airport. And also, one day I was renting a car for a guy there, and I felt that he was looking at me differently, with a door. At the end, I gave him the keys and the map of this, for the car that he was renting. When he asked me suddenly, "Do you want to be in movies?" In shock, I said, "Okay, yeah, sure." He gave me his business card, which I promptly put it in my pocket, so I didn't know. I didn't see the name or anything. So when I had a chance, I looked at the actual business card. I almost forgot about it, and then I read what it said, and he says, senior producer for Warner Brothers, Hollywood, California. It shocked me. For a moment, I thought really about going back there to LA, but I decided not to. I knew he was gay, and I felt the way of destiny, an opportunity knocking on my door. But I decided not to go. I wasn't going to compromise my morality or anything like that to go there in LA and try it out. Sometimes I think about it, of going to LA and try my luck in that entertainment business, but I decided not to. So September 11, 2001, it was a beautiful day, okay? And as soon as I arrived at the airport, one of my co-workers mentioned, there's something happening in New York City. I think I want to have to leave that to the next chapter and to tell you chapter 3 and living in America.